Before we dive into the LCS series, I wanted to ask you about Bruce Bochy coming back. What do you think of that? I think you like it, but were you surprised at all?
Not when I heard they went to Texas to interview him. So, or he went to there to interview, I should say. So, I'm happy that an old school guy like that is back. The guy's won 3 World Series. He's he'll be in the Hall of Fame when he stops managing the next time.
Right.
He's a wonderful guy. I don't know much about that team or that league, really. Well, the Cardinals play them again next year for the first time in a while. They've got some talent. They have Semien. They've got Sager. They got some guys. I don't know what kind of pitching they have. And in that division, everybody's chasing the Astros and Seattle now. So Texas has got a ways to go there. But maybe in 3 years he can have them be a contending team again. They haven't had one really since those 2 teams that they lost in the World Series is the Cardinals and Giants in 10 and 11.
For Buck Showalter to come back, and I think he did a heck of a job, obviously, with the Mets, win 101 games. And I know it didn't end the way they wanted it, but that's playoff baseball. That's kind of how it goes. But Showalter adapted enough to where you go into the job knowing you're going to have to work with the analytics department, and you make the best of it, and you try to be cooperative and collaborative and all that stuff. And I think Bruce Bochy can go about that the exact same way Showalter did.
Plus, he has that physically imposing presence. Besides the fact he's won a whole bunch of games in his career, he'd break you in half if you crossed him. So I think the players can see that.
I was mentioning earlier the umpires always affectionately referred to Bruce Bochy as Buckethead, right?
Yes, he's in the 8s, I believe, for head size. So that's what we're talking about here, I guess. And that just means he has that much more knowledge stored up there, I guess. Huh?
That's right. No, he and did you enjoy dealing with him all those years? Because you would always venture over to the other side, and go say hello to the manager and have a conversation. Heck, back in the day when you would go, we would be in Atlanta. Bobby Cox would treat you like a family member. I mean, he was like thrilled to just see you walk into his office. He'd get up out of his chair, he'd shake your hand, probably hurt it, inflict a lot of pain by shaking your hand. But he was thrilled when the commish came into his office.
Well, you might go to his vodka stash even, those were the days.
Well, that too. I didn't want to say that, but because that was your story to tell. Yeah, he would.
and Bochy was the same way. He the night I got the Hall of Fame news that I was going to receive that award in 2006 at the winter meetings, he was one of the first ones who congratulated me, and he wanted to buy me a drink in the bar there, and I assured him I was at that point not drinking, but it was a nice gesture, and we had a nice talk anyway. I loved going to see him, mostly with the Giants. The San Diego teams, he had some good teams and some not quite as good there, but mostly with the Giants, I got to know him pretty well, and he's a wonderful fellow.
Yeah, I don't like you were saying at the beginning. I don't watch a lot of American League ball, but I'm going to try to make sure I check in on the Rangers, watch their games on occasion just to see what's going on. So it's really interesting. And were you surprised that Terry Francona's coming back? I mean, he's been dealing with a lot of health issues, and I know it's not easy for him to manage. What do you think of that? Well,
he looked like he was really having a good time, and they've got a nice young team there. Plus, their star player, Ramirez, is not that old. They got a good young pitching staff. It looks as if they have a lot of guys under control. They eventually Cleveland loses those guys because they can't afford to pay them. But they've got some young players. They got to get some offense somewhere, though. I don't know if they have to sign 1 or 2 hitters from outside the organization, even to short-term deals, to give Ramirez a little protection in the back part of that lineup. But another old schooler, and just think how many times we'll get to see Dusty Baker and Bochy go at it. They've never managed against each other before, probably, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I really like that. All right, since you mentioned Dusty, let's talk about that series. I find it really compelling. I mean, the Astros are so damn good, and the Yankees striking out 30 times in the first 2 games. It seems like Aaron Boone's trying to play everybody, this side of putting Chris Chambliss at DH or something. I don't know. Listen, man, both of those games have been tight. So if you're the Yankees, you look at it that way. They could have won either one of those games. But do you think they got much of a chance to get back to get by Houston, given the predicament they're in?
Well, they have Cole and Cortez, the next two games, and those are their best two starters, So, and Houston will be going with McCullers and probably the other, Quiddy, his name is the fourth starter, and then come back with Verlander on Sunday and Monday in New York. So they've got a chance, sure. Unfortunately, 7 of those strikeouts and 7 at bats that belong to Matt Carpenter.
Oh, I know. Poor guy.
Looking at from the Houston standpoint, they've won 2 games, and Alvarez has done little, and Altuve is nothing for 23. But he's going to get a hit. He is going to get a couple hits in New York. But they've done it with very little offense. I mean, Bregman got one in the seats there last night, the Crawford boxes, which is maybe not a home run in a lot of places, but it's a home run there. And their bullpen is crackerjack. They got 2 great starters in Verlander and Valdez. And then the bullpen has got guys that keep coming at you. Even we haven't seen him. We may not see him for a while. He recovers from those 5 innings he threw in Seattle last week, but Garcia was awfully good out there for them.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
And they've got Dusty told me at the All-Star break, one thing he wanted to get was a left-handed reliever, and he didn't get him. The front office didn't come through for him there, but I guess your right-handers get left-handers out okay. Presley didn't have too much trouble, and neither did the other guy ahead of him last night. So, Abreu. So that's going to be a great series. The Yankees are going to win some games, like that ball Judge hit last night that Tucker caught at the wall. That's going to be a home run in Yankee Stadium, and they're going to. The fans are nuts there, and they'll be out there tomorrow night, tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday. And I expect the Yankees to win 2 games and send it back. Now, can they win any more games in Houston? I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. That'd be tough. The way the Astros have dominated them in their home ballpark in Houston, is something that that's going to be hard to reverse. I think. I mean, it can happen, but it's going to be hard. Because the Astros do a pretty good job of hitting home runs themselves, So, and that's the Yankees thing. Commish, educate me a little bit, because Jim Hewer and I were talking about the American League Series, which resumes tonight. And I said this a couple times. It's almost like it's an anything goes series. I don't know that I have a feel for how this thing will go, because it's like the Phillies can pull these sudden ambushes. They did it to the Cardinals in the 9th inning of Game 1. They did it to the Braves first game down there. I mean, they can ambush you, and the Padres are the same way. So I wouldn't bet $1 on the winner of this series, because I'm not sure who's going to win it at all.
Well, it's a long series. They're even teams. They're both. I mean, let's be honest. They're both pretty good clubs.
Oh, yeah.
They're not to the level of the. Now they did beat those other teams. They got knocked off the top 4 teams in the league, including the Cardinals, Mets, Braves, and Dodgers. So give them credit for that. But over the 6 months, they were just okay teams. This is the first time I can remember a championship series contested by 2 teams who never contended for one day. They didn't contend for anything during the season, except
right.
They became wild card. I mean, they were never close to first place, and when it mattered, and they both got better, of course. The Phillies changed managers, and the Padres made a couple deals, and the Hader deal was maybe the one under the radar a little bit, but that guy looks more unhittable than he ever did for Milwaukee. He's the one guy that makes the Padres a little bit better, I think, than the Phillies, just because he can strike out hitters, and the Phillies strike out.
Very well, great point. Rick Hummel with us, the Hall of Fame baseball writer from the Post-Dispatch, STL, today. Those franchises spent money. I mean, their owners were, pretty aggressive, and maybe it just took them time to put it together. But there's been some dissent, I guess is the word, about the new format, that maybe it gives some of the lesser teams from the regular season, too much of a chance to win. I got mixed feelings about it, to tell you the truth. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I hate the new format. They have one wild card too many. Before you'd have two wild card teams playing each other one game. Now, I'm okay with them playing 3 games, but I make them play in 2 different places. I make them travel. I make them use their, make it really hard for them to not only win that series, but to then beat the best team in the league the next round. If they can do that, they deserve to be there. And 3 wild cards, no good. The Mets were a legitimate wild card. They won 101 games. These other 2 teams never won 90, and my research indicated that a series has never been contested where both teams did not win 90 in the league championship series. And since it started in 96 with the new format.
It's a whole new world. I definitely like the idea of reseeding as you go along. These teams shouldn't waltz into another series against a similar team in terms of success. Like if there's a bigger palooka to knock down, like the Dodgers. Like in other words, you shouldn't have to. You should have to. Well, then again, the Padres did have to go play the Dodgers, but you know what I mean. You should have to play
the Padres would have been playing the Braves under your format, though.
Right, right.
The Dodgers would have been playing the Phillies, and the Padres the Braves. That would have been a little bit better, I think. Yeah.
Commish, you have any thoughts about the Cardinals' areas of priorities when they, as they start to think about putting their team together for 23?
I don't know that I would spend a lot of money on a shortstop or a catcher. I would spend money on pitching just because you have to have pitching. And they have to figure out kind of what their outfield situation is. You can't assume Jordan Walker is going to be ready at the start of next season as a 21-year-old with 2 minor league seasons under his belt. If he is, great. And if he shows that he is in spring training, let's keep him up there too. But the shortstop, Edman can play short, and those other 2 guys, Donovan and Gorman, can play second. The catcher, but they didn't get any offense out of their catching this year, and they won 93 games. So if Kisner and Herrera can catch, I would bring in one veteran guy. I'm not bringing in a superstar, and you're not going to get a superstar catcher. I mean, Sean Murphy from Oakland is a nice catcher. I think he's an okay hitter, but is he worth a lot of money relative to the ones you already have? And especially Kisner knows the staff. The staff liked Kisner, and he became a real good handler of pitchers, especially Miklasz, who's arguably their best starter. So I would spend the money on pitching, and they got to get a left-handed hitting outfielder if they bring in an outfielder, because that lineup is so right-handed, and when Jordan Walker joins it, it's even more right-handed.
Right. They can do that, but the pitching thing is fascinating to me because the Cardinals, they really don't. Now maybe Flaherty can be closer to this in 23, but I don't know that you can count on that. But they don't really have a true number one. They don't have strikeout guys. They don't have people can just take over a game and the ball's not going to be in play all that much. It's just I know they're backing it up with a really good defense, but I've been doing a lot of numbers crunching the last couple of days, and if you want to win in the postseason, I mean go deep in the postseason, you better have a lot of strikeout punch. Not only the bullpen, especially the bullpen, but you need that in your rotation. And Cardinals are very short in that area, and I think their style works great in the regular season, works just fine. But man, you got to win that power game in the postseason. Power as in hitting home runs, and power as in striking people out, swing and miss. So I don't know how they get there, but you're right. They have to address the pitching.
And I think there's swings and misses out of the bullpen are good. But the Helsley Hicks is on. Gallegos gets his share of strikeouts. I think the guy nobody talks much about because he was hurt much of the year is Matz. Now, Matz can strike people out. Not like some other guys, but he's better than some of the ones they have too. And his last injury was a knee injury. He's fine. His arm's fine. And I think they've got him for 3 more years. I guess you're going to have to like him, but I think he'll be a big winner for them. Now, as always, for about the 4th year in a row, Flaherty is the key guy, and he was the key guy in 19, and then 20 and 21 and 22, and he was hurt some of those years, and 20 he didn't pitch very well in a short season. He's going to have to do it. This is the last roundup for him. He's going to be a free agent after next year. And most signs indicate he will not be back unless he really dazzles them and they give him the money before he gets to free agency. But Flaherty and Matz, at their best, would be a decent 1-2 with Miklasz right there. Quintana intrigues me. Montgomery intrigues me. He might be a 2. We don't know. He was a 1 for August, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Hey, one more thing, Commish, Rick Hummel from the Post-Dispatch STL today. In terms of the Cardinals that are finalists for the Gold Glove, could you handicap that for us? Who you think's got? Well, Arenado's got the best chance, but other than that, what do you make of Edman being eligible, a finalist at 2 positions? What do you think of Donovan getting that finalist spot for the utility player, which I think is smart. I'm glad they did that. And then you got Goldie at first. I mean, how do you look at each guy's chance of winning?
Well, Arenado's a lock to win.
Right.
And Edman's a lock to win, too, because he's up for 2 honors. Now, at second base, he will lose out probably because he only played maybe 65, 70 games there. But as the utility player, well, he's a much better fielder than Donovan. And
right.
And the other guy is like a part-time catcher, I mean, maybe I get some points for Arizona, but he'll win that one easily. He will not win at second base, I don't think. Either Cronenworth or the other guy will win second. And first base is interesting because Christian Walker had some good defensive stats. He's the guy who succeeded Goldschmidt with a year in between them at Arizona. He can win that, but Goldschmidt made only 2 errors. There was nothing wrong with his fielding all year long. Yeah, there was something wrong with his hitting in September and October, but nothing wrong with his fielding. So I would think as a many-time winner, he's still got the edge there. But Arenado's a slam dunk, and I think Edman's a slam dunk at utility.
Right, and you mentioned Walker, and you're right. It really comes down to how the voters, and they've probably already voted, but how the voters view advanced metrics. I mean, I think most people are at peace with that, but they're when it comes to evaluating first baseman, it's kind of tricky anyway. But Walker is, when I say he's the darling, and I don't mean that to disparage him because he's a hell of a first baseman, but he pretty much blows away the field with outs above average, defensive runs saved. But that doesn't mean he'll win it, because a lot of people just, if you watch Goldschmidt enough, you know what a magician he is down at first base with his footwork and stopping, blocking balls that would end up in the stands or, however you want to evaluate. All you got to do is watch him play, and you're like, hey, that guy's outstanding, But if advanced metrics sway the vote enough, then it probably would go to Walker,
Well, you're right, but Goldschmidt, handles every throw flawlessly, whether it's in – most of the throws are pretty good from Arenado and those other infielders, but maybe not Gorman. But those things don't always show up, I don't think.
No.
I think having made only 2 errors will help Goldschmidt a lot. And by the way, the voting is already over. I hate baseball's theory about this when they have the nominations. This vote's long been done.
Right.
Managers and coaches voted for that before the season was over, so they know who's going to win. Just as when the MVP nominees come out, next week sometime or the week after that, all those other nominees for, player of the year and this and that. I mean, I picture, Cy Young and rookie of the year and manager of the year. There'll be 3 nominees, but those will be the top 3 finishers. And I don't know. It's an extra TV show, I guess. That's what it amounts to for ESPN or MLB, whoever has it. But the voting is done. Walker will not improve his position anymore, but his metrics are terrific.
My friend Rick Hummel, what a treat to talk to you, and I hope we continue to do this for a while. I don't know what the arrangement is, but certainly through the World Series, I hope. But I want to visit with you as much as I can, and you can't retire from my show. I know that. I won't stand. I won't stand for it. So
I'm in.
All right, my friend, and seriously, thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk soon.
You too, sir.
All right. That's my longtime friend and cherished colleague at the Post-Dispatch. Tell you all this so many times. He's not a better dude anywhere, and huge benefit to me as a young writer and young columnist having him there to what's the phrase? Talk me down from the tree. Just yeah. I need that now, but no, he's something else. He really is. He's wonderful.